Over 70,000 people died from first-hand smoking in 2022, with socioeconomic costs from these deaths reaching nearly 14 trillion won, according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency.
질병관리청에 따르면은 2022년에 우리나라에서 직접 흡연으로 인한 사망자가 7만 명이 넘고 이로 인한 사회경제적 비용이 14조 원에 육박한 것으로 나타났습니다.
Yeah, so speaking of a resurgence or a surge, if you look at the data here by the KDCA, 70,000 deaths, 72,000 to be exact in 2022.
Right.
That's a considerable increase actually compared to the previous year when there were 63,000 deaths. So that's more than 9,000 increase there. And based on this data, the agency says that the risk of death for smokers is actually 1.7 times higher for men and 1.8 times higher for women compared to non-smokers. Of course, this is something that is probably a no-brainer that smoking is bad for you. And also, if you used to smoke in the past, there are lasting effects for people who have even quit smoking. An actual 1.1 and 1.3 times higher chance, respectively, for men and women. So this is good data for anyone that's curious about picking up the habit. That even if you smoke a little bit and you quit, if you say, "Oh, maybe I'll quit starting next year or something," anytime you smoke, there's a higher risk or chance of dying than non-smokers.
So the negative effects of smoking stick with you, even if you quit. Now, of course, quitting will lower the risk of death, for example, or fatal diseases by a little bit. So it is better to quit than to continue smoking.
Absolutely.
But if you've never smoked before and you're curious, don't do it.
Don't pick it up.
Don't pick it up. All right. So when you say you pick up a habit, that means you start doing something. But don't pick this up. All right, the first expression to look at is first-hand.
Yeah, so it's interesting here because normally you could just say so X number of people died from smoking, but here's to distinguish between secondhand smoking because we know that secondhand smoking is also detrimental to your health. So in this case, if something is firsthand, it's direct. It's coming from the original source or from personal experience. So here, direct smoking.
직접 흡연을 first-hand smoking이라고 하고요. 간접 흡연을 second-hand smoking이라고 해요. Second-hand can also be used for clothes, for example.
Yep, something
second-hand
that's
clothes.
used, right?
맞아요. 그때는 이제 중고 옷 누군가 한 번 입었고 그 다음에 이제 물려서 입을 때, like hand-me-downs.
Yes, hand-me-downs. Another euphemism for second-hand would be previously owned. I know the car industry uses that term a lot because used car has a sort of connotation to it. So a lot of businesses nowadays will say previously owned cars.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah. And do you know the term used for high-end bags and stuff?
Like designer
bags
products?
when they're second-hand? I didn't think you'd know this because it's more sort of a niche market for people who are interested in this.
Pray tell.
It's called pre-loved.
But no longer loved.
I don't know about that. Maybe loved less. By the previous owner.
Sure.
And they pass it on to a different owner. Well, they don't pass it on. They sell it to a different owner.
And as far as going back to first-hand, though, spelling, you can hyphenate it. First hyphen or dash in hand, or you can write it as one word. And I think that's a subtle difference, but both are accepted.
맞습니다. first-hand는 한 단어로 쓸 수도 있고 가운데에 띄어서 하이픈으로 연결해줘도 괜찮아요. 근데 지금 우리가 이제 중고 얘기를 하다가 뭐 굉장히 다양한 분야에서 중고라는 단어가 또 first-hand second-hand 말고도 많이 다른 단어로도 쓰인다. 이것까지 살펴봤고요.
Previously loved? Is that what you said?
No, pre-loved.
Oh, pre-loved. Okay.
Yes, I think that was the expression.
Okay.
And also previously used cars.
Yes, previously owned
previously
cars,
owned cars. Okay. 자, 이어서 Socioeconomic costs.
Yeah, so if we break this word down, you see the word social, and economic costs. So socioeconomic is the combined impact of social and economic factors based on a situation. So social costs would be things like healthcare expenses, lost productivity due to illness or accident. Economic costs are direct money, so lost profits, increased costs of production, changes in consumer behavior. So things like environmental pollution, smoking, drinking, smoking. These things all have socioeconomic costs. And these days, we don't have social classes like during the Joseon Dynasty.
Right.
There were social classes. But nowadays, we talk about socioeconomic classes, right?
That's right. Socio가 들어가면은 사회와 관련된 거겠죠. And economic는 경제적이니까 사회경제적, socioeconomic costs, 비용이 되겠습니다. 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. Over 70,000 people died from first-hand smoking in 2022, with socioeconomic costs from these deaths reaching nearly 14 trillion won, according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency.